5, 4, 3. I guess 3, 2, 1. Hit it.
There's a fire inside and I just can't hide it. There's a fire inside and I just can't fight it. Ooh. You know I'm coming for you. There's a feeling inside, let it take it over. Past is in the past, wipe it off my shoulder. You know I'm coming for you. I was born in the river and the river was wild. Washed by the water, I've been baptized. Out of the ashes I rise and like the phoenix.
Oh, as always, hi, I'm Michael.
And I'm Grace.
And together we are California Travel Videos. Woohoo! Welcome, everybody. I hope we're having a good time. Grace, how are you doing today?
I am doing wonderful. I hope everybody else is doing great. I see Rose and Diane Phoenix. And then we have had, I have to give a shout out to Adventures with Bradley. He has been waiting patiently for the last 30 minutes. He's excited about our guest.
Bradley, first in the house. Thank you for being here.
I'm excited about our guest too. So yeah, we're going to give a little recap as to some of the things we've been doing and what we've got planned and look forward to. And then we're going to bring on our guest.
Okay, let me go ahead and do a couple more names here. Good start. Hey, Tim, Mo bang for your buck. Good to have you there. And you are no stranger to us. And Kenny, one of our awesome, mega awesome moderators. Hello, Kenny. Hope things are doing well. Watched you the other day when we had, you got to go check his channel out. That is Fordman, a.k.a. Kenneth Oakes. He has a couple videos a day he's doing now. He is like giving so much back to the community. And what I was seeing was he had a contest where he had some questions, different answers. And I'm still, Grace, come on. You've got to go in there because it was about rock questions and, rock like in music. But she says, do you want dinner? And okay, dinner comes first. Also, yeah, who's here?
He gave me those questions, Kenny, and I gave him the answers, and hopefully he came down and translated that information because it was like simple. I think it was, you asked when rock and roll started, obviously, 1955. And what was the other question? Do you remember, Michael?
One song, I can't remember but you nailed it. Anyway, Diane Phoenix is here. Hello, Diane. Good to have you here today. And Rose Biss, good evening to you too. I guess that means he might be in Central or maybe Eastern time on the right coast. And who else? Karen Boardman. I like that name, Boardman. That's got a good ring to it, doesn't it? So I think that's most everybody's here. So thank you for being here with us. We got a great show as we're going to talk about in a little bit. And Grace, I'm going to give the baton right back to you.
Okay, well, we don't want to go too much further without giving you just a little bit of a taste of our next guest. And with that said, hint, hint.
Boy, that's going quick. I mean, what the world? What happened? It made me thirsty. Was that some of the subliminal messages? What? I'm befuddled.
That's a lot of martinis.
A martini, huh? Well,
martinis.
I got to be careful with my martinis, but I guess our guests, they probably know about that and a lot of other things. And so that is so cool. So Grace, before we invite them up, they're still in the green room and watching us. And I'm wondering, tell us a little bit about how we discovered them.
I honestly do not remember how we discovered them. It was just like one day they were there, and from the moment they were there, we connected. And in my opinion, we had so much in common. We were like twins separated at birth.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many things and so many passions and so much love. And, our channel likes to talk about educational, enlightening, and entertaining. And I guarantee you, if you have not yet checked out their channel, it's pinned at the top. You will definitely find it educational, enlightening, and entertaining. So without further ado, I want to go ahead and show you a little glimpse of
And just one quick thing, Adventures with Brady, thank you so much, Bradley, for the $4 super chat. And also for another mod, Sue, thank you for being here, and for Captain Jack and the raid. He has a wonderful show. Those of you who haven't been there, Captain Jack Scraper, and not Scrapper. He's not a scrappy kind of guy, but he is a lot of fun. If you haven't been to his channel, you need to start doing that, because he's getting very close to that 1,000 mark so we can monetize. So let's help him with that. So Grace, I guess it is about time. Do you want to hit the button, or you want me to?
I am going to hit the button without further
Here it comes.
ado and introduce you to my sister from another mother.
Come on
and
in, the
my
water's fine.
brother, Denise and Patrick. Welcome.
Woo-hoo!
Hi, guys.
Yay.
Howdy.
So are you going to be doing these notations here to highlight everything, or did you want me to?
You're the best highlighter, honey. I'm just kind of, you know how us guys are. We just can only multitask on one half, maybe one thing at a time. I just drive the car, and don't talk to me. I'm still trying to pay attention, find out where I'm supposed to be going, and don't give me directions. Exactly.
Okay, so
Won't talk to me at the drive-through.
Oh my God! Drive-through? Don't talk to him.
Trying to order.
cheeseburger with cheese, French fries fried.
And when I'm backing up, if anybody says anything, I've got my Fox tear gas here for, man. Do not talk when I'm backing up.
No, my lips are sealed when he's backing up. I have learned the hard way. Do not talk to Michael when he is in reverse mode. So, it's funny. I was thinking about that tagline. What is the story? What is the rest of the story?
Oh, yeah.
And I think that we really share that, because I think that we're born under that star where we hear some information and we all, like my wires right away when I hear something start crisscrossing and saying, it's almost like data flowing through the universe, and I have to get the information. And you guys are definitely that way with your show. I'm going to.
They seem to usually have.
We have a phrase for it.
For those not familiar, I'm going to give you a little tidbit, and you should all be familiar. But if you're not, I'm going to give you a tidbit.
So I'm at Wild Bill's gravesite in Calamity Jane, who's right next to me, and I keep getting whiffs of cigarette smoke, and there's nobody else here but Mr. Martini and I, and we don't smoke, so it's a little bizarre. It's coming in from somewhere, and I don't know where.
Oh, man, does she know how to get suspense? I smell that cigarette smoke at the graveyard. There's nobody smoking, and I don't know where it came from. What's up with that?
Oh my
Wow.
God! I was standing right next to Buffalo, not Buffalo Bill.
Wild
Bill.
Wild Bill really liked his cigars.
He loved his cigars, and it just reeked of cigars, like it was right next to me. And this is a very large cemetery in Deadwood, and it was like what, November? There was nobody there. There was nobody outside. I mean, it was like you could see how bundle I was. It was like 10 degrees out. There was nobody out smoking a cigar.
A couple of deer and a squirrel.
That's it. One of them. Okay, who's smoking? If you've got them, light them up.
Yeah, that was funny.
Did you see that part in that video where the chipmunk scared the hell out of me?
I did see that.
He pops around the corner, and I hear a
No, he popped out of a grave. He came out of a crypt.
No way.
Yeah.
Crypt Keeper chipmunk.
So the concrete they put over a grave? So
Yeah.
there was like a break in it, and he came out of the grave, and I'm sitting there trying to talk about, graves, and all of a sudden something pops out. Oh my God. And I caught the whole thing on tape, and I put it in the video where my heart just stopped because all of a sudden I go silent, and I was like, freaking chipmunk. Just kidding.
In fact, when you first said it, I thought, well, the first thing that came in, did they talk to the dead? And I thought, no, wait a second. This is the afterlife. I mean, reincarnation, I guess, of all the things to be, chipmunk or squirrel, yeah, I can handle that.
I don't know.
So
I
I
think
read-
Alvin the Chipmunk was trying to make a comeback, and he figured YouTube was the best place to get his launch. So,
And back on that, Patrick, one of the things that I'm sure when you do the video, the challenge is you see something and we're dumbfounded and we watch it. It reminded me about when I was studying to be, I want to do some wedding videos. So I got a book on wedding videos and from a videographer's perspective. And he said, whether you're a photographer or videographer, always keep the camera clicking or the video going. And he said that one time, when he was changing spots, is that all of a sudden the mob, the mother of the bride and the wedding coordinator, they went fisticuff right up on the church stage. And he was like, what's going on? He's like, man, I should have had my video camera. And I've watched some of your videos, and you guys are pros at that. So you've been doing this for, how many years?
Well, we've been on YouTube for 3 years, but we've been doing adventures and photographing it forever. We've been married for 34 years. And we just decided to kind of take the pictures that we've always taken and the adventures that we go on and put it on YouTube and, take it to a platform. So it's actually not new for us to do all these things. We've always gone to graveyards. We've always gone to historical places. And it's like, oh, honey, look, a mine shaft. Let's go down in it.
I teased Colorado over here that she missed her calling as a Universal Studios tour guide. We'll be out in the middle of nowhere hiking, and we'll run across some people, and my wife will give them a tour of what's ahead, let them know what the weather's like.
I do
Use
that
a business card, for future references.
In the full history of the area.
Bam!
I'll be at 10,000 feet in the middle of nowhere and go, here's a business card.
Yeah, you got to press the
when I was
flesh.
15 knocks,
Come on,
answer.
press the flesh.
It's funny when we come back from a trip, we'll have like 40 new subs because I'm talking to everybody and passing out cards. And that's how we've grown so much is that we've got the gift of the gab and we're very social and we talk to everybody, and so you talk to one family and there's 5 people standing there, they're all subbing to you as they're standing there talking to you, and then have other people sub you and stuff. So we feel it's really important.
Oh my gosh. And we have this conversation go 1,000 different ways. I got so much. I'm getting kind of in your mode, Grace. I'm kind of like, I woke up, but I didn't have any coffee today. But no, when you said that, it made me think about your collabs. We'll talk about that a little bit. But I was thinking, what you do when you go out and meet these people, you do it organically. And I couldn't help, as soon as that thought went into my mind, tell us a little bit about, like when you were a girl. I mean, we'll go back to Pismo Beach or however far back you want to, and the date shakes. Now, I don't know if you're dating Patrick back in those days. Okay, Newport
Beach.
We'll talk about that some. I want to hear some about your gardening and things
Bugs
too.
Bunny was Pismo Beach. I'm Newport Beach.
Okay.
Not everybody knows that fact, tour guide.
Okay, yeah.
Yes, but you used to live in California in your young days.
Yeah, I grew up in Newport, in Corona del Mar, actually, which is kind of a town within Newport Beach.
Mm-hmm.
And Patrick and I, we met in Palm Desert. My sister owned an Italian restaurant out there, and Patrick came to work for her. And I came home for Christmas vacation from college, and it was love at first sight.
Oh,
was it his cooking or
Second
something else?
sight, I'm not sure what.
Second sight.
Mhm.
And but seriously, it was kind of a whirlwind romance. We fell in love, and I actually left that college and transferred back to California.
And I quit my job.
No, you didn't.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. What did the sis
restaurant.
have to say?
Just couldn't marry the help. Come on.
Hey,
I'm here to
think
help
all
you.
good relationships work out that way.
So I promptly quit. We got married.
And we were actually married 5 months later, and we've been married for 34 years.
You
Well,
married him
congratulations.
5 months after you met him?
Yeah.
Wow. I was
I'm pretty amazing.
5 months after I.
He
It actually
asked the
happens to me all the
question, and
time.
she said,
Yeah, baby.
Yeah, I hear that often, and it's really weird how that works because I know one relationship, they met on the 7th of July, 7/7, and 7 days later they got married. And then something about 7 popped in there later. 7 months later, they had a baby. I don't remember exactly, but everything lined up to 7s. And they spent their entire life together, married.
That is so awesome.
It's incredible how that works. It's like destiny brought the two of you together.
mhm.
And
some
so
of her,
Patrick,
I thought it was pizza.
It was pizza. It was pizza.
that helps. It does help.
Michael won't eat pizza. Wait, I gotta point the right direction. I need him to eat more pizza.
I do. I'm working on that, darling.
Well, the kicker of the story is that I came back from college for Christmas with my boyfriend.
Not Patrick.
Not Patrick, a different guy. And while he went to go see his dad for the holidays, Patrick made his move.
Oh.
And when he came
Patrick was
back,
saying,
I
"This,
told-
hey, try me. My flavor's better."
And it was just one of those things that you just knew it was right. And we had so much in common. And, kind of like like with you guys, we just knew we were had so much in common and that we were so much alike. And we just knew it was right. And we were just kind of at that age where, it was time to get married, and we did. And 34 years later, we're still together
Here we
and
are.
happy and doing YouTube videos.
Yeah, so I'm curious, back in those early days, now, I mean, I was talking to Grace about what are the topics. Well, one of them, of course, is travel. I mean, that's definitely what your channel is all about. And back in those days, did you do any traveling together or like to see the sights? I mean, aside from each other, we won't talk about personal stories now, but what kind of sights did you like, Patrick?
Oh, we've always traveled. Mostly local stuff. I mean, we lived in a great state of California. There was so much to see there. Spent many days in the valleys of Yosemite and among the sequoia trees and the redwoods. And
Beautiful.
I was new to the state, so it was all really fresh for me.
Now,
I'd
you're from
moved
Georgia,
I'd moved to California when I turned to 21. Moved to the left coast, and we met shortly afterwards.
Yeah. So he's from Georgia.
Yeah, Georgia. I saw your
Land
videos recently from Savannah, and they look incredible. In Savannah, we barely missed Savannah when we went around the United States in 2019. We got as far as South Carolina to Myrtle Beach, and then we had to head over the Blue Ridge Mountains and start heading home.
Mhm.
But that was an area that we missed that we have to go back to for sure.
Savannah's amazing. Absolutely. It was the first time I had ever been there. It's actually, with all the years we've been married, it was the first time we had gone back to Georgia.
Yeah, we had to
Wow.
wait for the statutes of limitations on certain things to run out before I could go back.
I wondered about that. If your palms were kind of sweating and just kind of how you were feeling. You're a little nervous at first on your videos, I thought.
Look over my shoulder a lot.
Yes, that's right.
So tell us, again, going back to the cliche of tell me the rest of your story. How did you get started with YouTube videos? What propelled that?
Well, I'm the one who started it. And it was, we had started, well, we would go to parties all the time, neighbors and stuff. And we would always bring like this rolling suitcase of vodka and mixers and stuff. And so everybody else would bring, muffins and,
I brought a dessert. What'd you bring? 3 different kinds of martinis.
Oh, gosh.
We had the rolling martini bar.
Ergo your name.
But, it's just one of those things you look back and go, damn.
Yeah. And so we were like, the favorite of the party because we had all the martinis and we'd make, flavored martinis. And between, I love to cook and Pat was really good at making flavored
Pat
martinis.
likes to drink.
Yeah, Pat likes to drink. And so he was really good about putting these together. And between the two of us, we came up with these great recipes. So we said, let's write a book. And
no kidding.
And let's call it Colorado Martini.
Wait,
I had no idea.
I have something that reminds me of that.
Yeah, now that you mention
that looks like my recent bar tab.
I can't keep up with
I've always
Patrick.
been really bad about going into bars and spending just exuberant amounts of money tasting different alcohols. So
okay, so here's the plan when we meet, because just to let the audience know, we are going to get together and we are going to do a collab video. Mm-hmm. And when that happens, we're going to hook up in our RV and the bar tab will be a lot less expensive because, you got it, girl. You got it. We are going to knock that stuff. We are going to go into San Diego walking very funny.
And I told you I went to San Diego State and the bars are going to go, oh, Denise, you're back. It's been years.
Oh, by the way, here's your false ID.
Pick one. Pick a card
for you.
So ever since I heard Denise, I have to tell you the truth. I've been singing Denise. Did you hear that a lot growing up?
Oh my God. Everybody used to sing that song to me all the time. Well, and especially I was in my 20s when that came out too. So I used to always get that song.
What?
Played. Isn't Denise by Blondie?
No, Denise, the Beach Boys.
Oh, I guess Blondie redid it. I didn't even know the Beach Boys did
Yeah.
And you call yourself a California.
Like,
and I call myself a Denise.
So you were saying I saw a post that you did not too long ago talking about your dad and his role in the California scene with the
multiple sclerosis.
Exactly. So tell us a little bit about that and growing up in the area.
Well, my dad helped start the Multiple Sclerosis Society. And he and Danny Thomas, who started St. Jude, used to collab quite a bit. And so they used to do telethons together.
Fantastic.
And so my dad helped start the society back in the 40s. My mom is actually his second wife. And his first wife had multiple sclerosis. And that's how he got involved with the multiple sclerosis. And so he was desperate to find a cure. And unfortunately, Bert died back in the 50s, and then he married my mom and had all of us. And he still stayed very involved in multiple sclerosis. So he would put on, because he was the head of the Multiple Sclerosis Society in Los Angeles, he was very involved with a lot of movie stars. And so he'd put on galas and these telethons and stuff to raise money for the organization. And they always collabed with St. Jude all the time. And so between he and Danny Thomas, they were kind of the founders of telethons. It wasn't Jerry Lewis. It was my dad and Danny Thomas, because they had been doing telethons since,
That girl?
Yeah, that girl. So Marlo, Danny Thomas's daughter, who is that girl from the show for the younger folk. she
Younger folks.
she,
Younger folks don't know who she is.
yeah. Marlo took over St. Jude from Danny Thomas. And for those of you who don't know who Danny Thomas is, he was a very famous TV star in the 50s and 60s. He was on a show called Make Room
Make
for
room
Daddy.
for daddy, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then when he passed and Marlo came of age, she took over the organization. And so every time I see a St. Jude's commercial, it always makes me think of my dad. But so they used to do telethons together. So that video for Father's Day, I decided to share my dad and some pictures that I have in the house of him with movie stars, with he and Danny Thomas. They looked very much alike. They looked like brothers. And with Shirley Temple as an adult, her brother had multiple sclerosis. So she was very involved with my dad's organization and the things that they did. She was Shirley Temple Black at that time. And so she was very involved with multiple sclerosis. Marilyn Monroe, that which is my favorite picture.
Yeah, that is
Yes.
awesome.
As my dad was always so serious and businesslike, and he is so smitten in that picture of her.
Yeah, it's Marilyn Monroe.
Instead of posing for the picture, he's like,
Oh, I have to show you something with that said.
And when she's doing that, Kenneth Oakes, if you want to come aboard and talk a couple minutes about your experiences as a youth, you're certainly welcome to do that. And here's comes Grace. But Kenny, if you want to come up, we certainly welcome you.
So, oh, that light's getting in the way.
Just hold it down a little bit at an angle. Yeah, raise it up and get higher.
I
Yeah,
can
and get
tell
it closer to this
football
camera.
player, a
Keep
football
going up.
player.
So it's Jerry Rice.
Oh,
And when
okay.
You say right?
Rice.
Jerry
Yeah.
Rice, no, the GOAT.
Rice with a C?
49ers, number 80.
Okay, gotcha.
And in this picture, talk about smitten, I have to tell you, I was smacking my gum, and the photographer kept telling me to spit my gum out or to swallow my gum or do something with my gum. But nonetheless, in this picture, he looked like he was looking at the camera. But prior to that, you see I have this little peephole in my shirt. And yeah, Jerry Rice was looking very closely.
That's her story.
very-
She's sticking to it.
Yeah.
You got a peek from Jerry Rice. I love it.
Right?
Peekaboo.
But I apparently haven't done much with this lately because it's very dusty. Sorry,
I
Jerry.
know when I did that video on my dad and then I put it up, I'm like, why didn't I dust these pictures before I did this video? Yeah, I turned off the comments. I turned off the comments and the rating on that video. It was like, you don't get to thumbs down my dad. You don't get to take a comment because, there's some really mean people out there.
They
There
can be,
are,
yeah.
yeah.
And, and it's just like, yeah, you don't get to even comment on this thing. I'm sharing something very personal. I've been on YouTube for 3 years, and it's the first time I've ever brought it up. And I just kind of felt like I wanted to share my dad. And it wasn't really what I wanted to share my dad, is that I wanted to share the causes.
Right.
Right.
And
What
we
somebody
know-
believes and to help to give back to others. What a wonderful story, as Grace would say.
Exactly.
It was, the timing was right with COVID and everything. A lot of these organizations have, I don't want to say they've been forgotten, but it was just kind of good timing to put this out here of how long we've been fighting for these diseases and especially multiple sclerosis. I mean, my dad started fighting that disease back in the 40s, and we still don't have a cure. It's 2021, and we still don't have a cure for multiple sclerosis. We have medicine to help people. We've come a long way when it comes to that, but we still haven't found a cure. And so it would sadden him if he was still alive to find out that, that we still haven't. And so that was kind of what it was Father's Day with everything that's been going on. It was just kind of the timing was right.
Well, we are going to invite Kenneth up. who also has MS, as do unfortunately so many people today. One of my good friends, her son was only 7 when he was diagnosed. It just breaks my heart because I saw him and my grandson running around together having so much fun, and now MS is a part of his world.
Yeah.
And without further ado, we have Kenneth Oakes, aka Kenny, aka the Ford Man. Welcome aboard. Hey, Kenny, how you doing?
Thanks for having me up. Thanks
I
for
have
having
to
me
say, my son's right here talking about he's going to vouch for the Jerry Rice story because he was there at the moment and he saw Jerry peeping.
You checking out my mom?
For Jerry Rice, I don't think he cared. Anybody else, he would have been like,
That's right. Hey, go ahead. Go ahead and say howdy. Give her a hug.
Could have got the
So-
signature.
"Hi, Kenny, how are you?"
Doing very well. Thanks for having me up.
Oh, you bet. In fact, tell us a little bit about, I don't know how far back in the beginning of your life, but about the challenges that you've had and how you have, overcome them and made us a real living hero in your time.
Well, I've been born with cerebral palsy, and I also have what they call hydrocephalus, which is fluid on the brain, and I have a shunt that drains it off my brain and things. And I've had several surgeries done on it, and I also used to go to Shriners Hospitals for Children
Wonderful.
to help with my cerebral palsy, and they went as far as they could as far as doing surgeries and stuff, and they left the rest of it up to me. So to keep going. So what I thought was amazing is when they cut my Achilles tendons, my feet were like in a curved position. I was pigeon-toed like, and as soon as they cut my Achilles tendons, my feet all of a sudden went straight up into this position automatically as soon as they cut those Achilles and tendons.
Yeah.
And I've learned to just look on the positive side and not give up and just keep on going, because I've learned that if I give up, then I'll just never get anywhere.
Amen. Well,
Good
thank you for
attitude.
sharing your
That is
story.
the
And
best
you have gone
attitude
through
you can have,
so much
because
as a youth. And look at you here. You found your calling. You just recently were a graduate. You love automotive mechanics. And we're just so proud of you for, the inspiration you give all of us that, sometimes we think like I say, FWP, the first world problems, but you just are very inspirational in terms of not only the fact is that you believe in yourself, but you reach out and you try to help others, which is phenomenal, Kenny. So thank you for that.
Oh, you're very welcome. But I also was born with a heart defect, and not very many kids survive it.
Yeah.
Well, I'd actually beaten the odds, because they were the ones that the doctors and stuff was giving me, like, they said I'd never make it to my 5th, and then they'd say I'd never make it to my 10th. Well, I'm now 26 years old.
Amen.
and you're going to go on a cruise.
And getting ready to go on a cruise, getting ready to go on my very first cruise in October of 2022, which I'll be 28 years old then. Going on my very first cruise. So,
Remarkable. So Denise, how about you? I mean, with your father and all the things that he did to inspire and to help to create awareness for others, did you ever get a chance to meet any of the kids or people with MS?
No, I did not. By the time I was born, I was too young to remember the telethons.
Okay.
And, so I knew the person that Jane Mansfield was, that she died with. For those of you that don't know Jane Mansfield, she was a sex symbol competition to Marilyn in the 50s and the early 60s. I can't even remember the year she died.
Wasn't her line, when I'm bad,
I'm really bad. No, I don't know. Was that her?
I think
I don't know if that was her or not. Anyways, the gentleman she was with when she was in the car, she died of a car accident, and Sam Brody was with her. And Sam Brody and my dad were very close friends. The Brodys were like, we always went to their house all the time. And I remembered that. And so I remember going to the Brodys all the time. And I don't remember Sam Brody, but I remember his kids. I remember playing with them, and I remember going to their house. And I'm not even sure if he was alive still at that point. And that's all I remember with the starlets was Jane dying. And no, she was not beheaded. A lot of people say, "Oh, Jane Mansfield was beheaded."
She lost her head.
What happened is that the car, there was a semi. The car went under a semi, and it caught her wig. Back in those days, they'd wear big bouffant wigs.
She did anyway.
And it caught her wig, and so the press ran with that and said, Jane Mansfield's been beheaded. And so ever since then, everybody thinks was beheaded, and she wasn't. It tore off her wig. And so both of them were killed in the accident. And, but yeah, that's all I remember, really. I remember my parents always having like galas at the house. And, but I don't remember who was there. I was pretty young at the time.
Now that you mention, back 10, 20 years ago, I did just a little bit, and I didn't even know if they had Wikipedia back in those days, but I thought it was that the air was rather hazy, and I don't know, it was malathion. They used to spray this stuff that nowadays it's oh no, they cause cancer, but I thought there was malathion or something. It was so, here it is, these days you think about, especially in our dear state of California, however you want to take that, but now everything chemicals, the pollutants and everything, but back then they just sprayed the heck out of the fields, didn't they?
That's a fact. Actually, it was 1983, and it was the fruit flies. And so I remember I was pregnant with my daughter at the time, and we would tape up the windows because the malathion and the helicopters would be spraying, or the crop dusters. And there were a lot of children born in 1983 and thereafter during that time period that had a lot of different learning disabilities, autism. It was humongous in our area there after the malathion spray.
I remember that. Well, multiple sclerosis, they've actually been linking it to vitamin D deficiencies. And the reason they've come up with that is that when you look at the statistics of where the largest amount of cases are in the United States of multiple sclerosis, there's this band across the middle of the United States, a certain parallel that doesn't get a ton of sun all year round. And so now they're linking it with vitamin D deficiencies. In this band are getting multiple sclerosis. Like here in Colorado, there's a lot of people. I've met more people with multiple sclerosis in this state than I have in any state, which is kind of strange because we can have a lot of sun here.
300 days of sunshine. Yeah. What are you talking about?
So, but you can have a lot of sun and still not get a lot of vitamin D.
This is true.
Oh, I know that for a fact because I have fibromyalgia. Mm-hmm. And so because I've always felt that it was a label, and I've been always searching for an answer, and I always felt like they were throwing me under a carpet. Mm-hmm. So in that, I was doing a lot of different research, whether it was from ticks or whether it was from vitamin D deficiency, because a lot of those things are in common. And with that, from the vitamin D deficiency, I told my doctor I wanted a test, and she actually laughed at me and said, "You live in California." I said, "Test me." She did not even have the audacity to call me in person. She wanted to send me an email and say, yeah, your vitamin D is really low and you need to do this and that. Duh. You know, people think just because you live in a sunshine state that you're getting enough vitamin D, but you're not anymore.
You're not.
Also has
You're not.
Yeah.
Had the same problem. Same thing happened to me. Exact same story. And they were trying to shove me under the carpet. And when I moved here to Colorado, a doctor goes, let's check your vitamin D. And your D should be between 30 to 50. And if you're at 30, you really need to pump it up.
Right.
Mine was at 8.
Wow.
And it took me, and I was always outdoors. I mean, we're always out and about.
Right.
I was just thinking,
Yeah.
certainly when you were growing up out there by the beaches.
Well, this was I had moved here from California, and my D was that low. And so it took me months of mega doses, and I was taking vitamin D. And I still was low. So it was in my multi. I was taking extra vitamin D, and it was still low. And I was out in the sun all the time. So I plead to everybody out in the audience, get your vitamin D checked, because after mine was so low and I brought it back up, I mean, I thought I had multiple sclerosis actually, because my muscles were cramping up and I was having problems getting out of a restaurant booth. And, I felt like something was wrong, and it turned out to be the vitamin D. And so I had my sister's test. One of my sisters still lives in SoCal. One lives in Hawaii, and both them were low. And they are
in Hawaii. And I mean, nobody's going to think you have a vitamin deficiency, a vitamin D in Hawaii. But yeah, I would say that anytime you have any type of chronic pain, because that's one of the number one alert messages, is test your vitamin D. It's not going to hurt, especially if you have insurance. It doesn't cost you anything. Make them test you.
Exactly.
Yeah, I fully believe it's not how much sunshine or vitamin D you get. It's whether you actually absorb it or not.
Exactly. This is a great conversation. And with that, I want to take a moment, because this is something that I really wanted to talk to you guys about. And we're going to go over to another one of your channels, because as wonderful as we love Colorado Martini, they take us to fantastic places. They share with us the different histories and everything else. But one of the things that Denise seems to really absorb are those graveyards. And with that, so tell us a little bit.
That was strange.
Tell us a little more about the strange.
So on Colorado Martini, we used to do a lot of paranormal, and we decided to separate the travel from the paranormal or the strange into a new channel. And so not only did we go off into a new channel called The Strange by Colorado Martini, but we also started a podcast. And so we interview people on the podcast about strange things or paranormal. It can be anything from paranormal to, exploring abandoned places. What else have we done? We've done Typhoid Mary. We did the Giants in Lovelock. And a lot of times we'll interview either fellow YouTubers that are involved in these subjects, or we bring subject matter experts to the table. A lot of professors and book writers that we've brought to the table. And so we're trying to separate the genres. We ended up getting involved in paranormal. It just kind of happened because because we were always going to like hotels that were haunted.
If you're going to sleep in haunted places and visit cemeteries, you have to have something to fill in between the two.
And so it was like something that our audience actually clamored for. And next thing I knew, we were buying equipment and
Going into spooky
going to
places.
spooky places and doing paranormal investigation. And it was like, how did we end up here? And so we decided the travel and adventure and the paranormal and the strange need to be separated. And that's where we came out with The Strange by Colorado Martini. And then we also watch really great old sci-fi flicks, horror flicks and stuff. Everything from silent horror flicks, they're classic with like Lon Chaney Sr., to 1950 B-rated movies. And so we've been having like movie nights.
Yeah, Friday night movie night.
Where we sit and watch movies live with people, that these great old movies and stuff. So it's just kind of this place that you can go that has nothing to do with travel.
It's just strange.
It's just strange.
But you blend them in. It's sort of a fusion. And Grace, if you could give me solo me for a moment, and I'd like to go ahead and show our guests her website. So Colorado Martini, and once you're there, it's so much to see. She covers a lot of different genres. And so here I did a search. If you click on videos, and then you can search for paranormal, but you can see some of the different things. Are most haunted city, Galveston, Texas, paranormal story time. It is built over 2,000 bodies. The Chesapeake Park story in Denver, Colorado, her neck of the woods. The scariest haunted travel of paranormal places, travel vlogs, and on and on and on. So if you're interested in some fun stories, and by the way, oh my God, look at this, Grace. Look at the, there it is. Look at the thumbnail on this one, Haunted Deadwood. And look at, oh, Patrick, I wish I could do half what you do. He looks like he needs to have some toilet paper nearby or something. Anyway, you can go back to the normal. I just wanted to say is that, they have so many different themes on their website, but I just thought that was really cool. So tell us a little bit about how you blend these into your stories then. I'm really curious.
Well, most of the paranormal stuff, I'm trying to move over to the other channel, to The Strange by Colorado Martini.
Right.
But what's so funny is probably on a weekly basis, I get comments on certain videos of people that are in these haunted, because we do a lot of haunted hotels, not just graveyards and not just haunted places, but a lot of haunted hotels. And when people are at these haunted hotels, they contact me when they're there. And they tell
if something goes bump in the night, they go to YouTube. They type in the hotel.
They say, Denise, get me some views. Denise, you can do it.
I actually got recognized from a coworker who was staying in a haunted hotel in Glenwood Springs, I think it was.
Yeah, the Hotel Colorado.
So
we get a lot on that one.
I go into work Monday morning. She's like, "Are you on YouTube?" I'm like, "Why? Did you catch one of my videos?" She goes, "Yeah, we had a haunted experience at this Hotel Colorado, and we wanted to see if other people had experienced anything in our room, and we typed it in, and you guys came up."
Yeah, you typed in Hotel Colorado, there we are.
Is that how you guys found our channel? Is from the haunted house, the haunted hotel?
The what?
The haunted hotel that we did? It was up by the Gold Country. We did a haunted hotel, and it was really weird and kind of unique because my son and my grandson were with us. And as we were walking through the hotel, it was for sale, and she had redone it. It was absolutely beautiful. And I could not believe the price tag on this hotel, furnishing and everything included. And I was telling Michael, seriously, we should sell our house and buy this hotel.
Yes.
But she's telling us about this room where there is a presence. And we got to that room, And the minute we got to that room, I knew it
Yeah.
belonged to Amanda. And I told her, I said, it's Amanda. And she stopped and she looked and she said, that's my daughter's name, because her daughter stayed in that same room. And it's like, yeah, but that's not your daughter. It's prior to your daughter. It's Amanda. And I knew it. It wasn't something that I thought. It was something that I knew.
Yeah.
So,
that happens.
Coincidence? I think not.
So tell me more about all these meters that you have and these devices that help you find the spirits after.
So I'm by trade a geophysicist, and a geophysicist, we live for our equipment. And so what a geophysicist is that we tell the geologist what's under the ground. We can tell you where we think the gold is, or where the oil is, or where the groundwater is. And we use instrumentation for that. And it's everything from electromagnetics to gravity meters to seismics, all different kinds of things. And so when we got involved in this, being a scientist, I had to prove these things that were happening, things that we were experiencing and other people were experiencing. And so we're all about the equipment because of that. And we're not like, oh, an orb.
Scientists like facts.
Yeah.
We like facts. We like facts to back up our stories. Feeling things are great. Seeing things are even wonderful. But if you didn't catch it, no one's going to believe you, at least not on YouTube. So you need your facts. You need your equipment. My favorite's thermal camera.
Yes.
Love my thermal camera. You could go out into a snowy field and you could scan the whole field. And if there's a squirrel out there, you're going to see him. It's the same thing with cold spots, warm spots. It picks up a little bit of everything. So if you feel like you've walked into a room and it's cold, hey, I got an idea. Let's break out an instrument and see if it's cold.
Yeah. We're all about the facts.
So we've always been about our equipment. Like using the K2 meter, which judges electrical fields. That's why if you watch any paranormal videos, they usually try to kill most of the electricity in the area that they're investigating because they don't want that to interfere with their instruments. We found that the biggest enemy of any paranormal instruments is that cell phone that you love to carry in your pocket. If you're feeling a ghost and your meter's hitting, look down and see if you're getting a text. Okay.
Or any kind of.
Yeah.
So, Patrick, when you say KU, I mean, I can't help but my techie side. I mean, you're talking about the KU band, the microwave band of KU frequencies?
K2.
No, it's K2.
Oh, K2. Okay.
Yeah. So it basically picks up electrical fields. If you walked by a lamp and it was an older lamp, it would be emitting, a lot more. If you walk by a large power source like the breaker box, it'll go crazy. Right. So, I mean, those are two of my favorites. We've had some experience using the Ghost Box. Ghost Box works on either AM or FM frequency, and it basically ours has an adjustment where you can speed up the scanning, but it scans the AM bands or FM, depends on what you have it set on, for words. And the thought process here is that the spirits can manipulate that into the words that they want to tell you. And we've actually picked up interesting things on them.
I can't explain them.
Direct answers to some pretty specific questions have come out of these at times, and at other times just really crappy music.
I saw one where they were calling you Nene.
Yeah. Oh my God, that freaked me out.
Yeah, that's her like family
name,
pet name, whatever you want to call it.
That's my daughter's family name, Nene.
Yeah. The only people that call me Nene is my family. Nene. And we were we weren't even in a haunted room. We were in a haunted hotel, but not in a haunted room.
Well, yeah, there'd never been any
Claims in
claims
this room.
in this room. We were just having breakfast and say, let's see if anybody's eating with us.
Yeah, and this entity that named James, and every time we asked him what his name was, it always was James. And so it's things like that we credit of, yeah, that's evidence, not something came across and said James. But if it said, every time we said, what's your name? And we did it over time, not one right after another, but we did it over time. What's your name? And it keeps going, James. That's
It's probably
curious.
James.
Yeah, but Denise, I don't know. I'm kind of almost sorry you told me this story because it have you ever been to Mount Haleakala and let's see, Maui?
No.
No. Okay. Well, I remember when I was going on Trader Bob's. I guess anyway, you can go up to the 10,000 foot level up the top on. They have Cruiser Bob's. They have all these bikes, and you just ride down 40 some miles from 10,000 feet back down to sea level. And the tour guide there. And this is an early start before dawn because you want to get a great morning sunrise as you go. And she said, "Oh, look at that sign there." She says, "What is it?" And it was NENE, birds. And she says, "What do all you men think of that?" Well, it's the Nini bird. Oh, no. Over in Hawaii, Nini, that is a woman's breast. That's pronounced Nai.
I'm going to interrupt here for a minute because I have to tell you, when I first met Michael, my daughter and I dubbed him the professor. And we thought he was like this 100% nerd. That nerd has a lot of twists and turns. So tell us more about your nai.
Well, geez, I'm not sure where to go with that one, but anyway, it is really wonderful to see different states, different countries. And when you go to Hawaii, it is almost, let's face it, like you feel like you're internationally because it's a couple thousand miles away. And I don't know what the furthest place that you've been away, but I think you've done some international travel. But I had the good fortune is that when I was a guest lecturer on the cruise ship, so I got to see, after about 25 or 30 different segments, normally a couple of weeks for each segment, just to see a lot of the world. But then Grace and I, when we got together, it was like, well, there's so much in the United States. Now, we've seen about 30 some states. We have not got a chance to see your fair state together in our RV, but in a couple of weeks, we're going to start heading up north and going past Oregon, which we kind of check. We have these little stickers on our calendar. Then we're going to go to Washington, will be new. And the northern part of Idaho, we've not been up there by the Hiawatha Trail up by Coeur d'Alene, and then end up by the Grand Tetons. And I won't tell you what Tetons stand for, but it has something to do with my French past. But you can imagine Teton.
Everything means crest to you guys.
Well, that's why they're grand.
That's why they are so grand. When I look at it now, I always think, boy, look at those pointed mountains. Yeah, I get it. So have you been up in that part yet, or what's the furthest north you've been?
Yeah, we've been through that area. We
the
lived
Grand,
in the Northwest.
Yeah, and we have a video on the Grand Tetons, and which are gorgeous, and we have a lot of footage on Yellowstone, and I've only put out one thing on Yellowstone because it's something that I'm personally very passionate about, and it's about Maddie. And Maddie was a pioneer to Montana, and she and her husband were the winter caretakers of an old hotel that used to exist in the Glacier Basin that's long gone. And Maddie had TB, and this was like the late 1800s, and she died in the middle of winter, and she just had a baby. And so her husband and the baby were stuck out in the middle of nowhere. It's late 1800s in Yellowstone.
Yeah, people only came around in the spring.
Yeah, I can believe that.
So.
And at the time, the Army, and a lot of people don't realize this, but before there were rangers and before Yellowstone was a national park, the Army ran Yellowstone. the
Right.
whole area. And there's actually a base, an old army base in the northwest part of Yellowstone, the original gate that brings you in from Montana. So he had to go find those military men to help him with Maddie and her body. So they in the middle of the winter they couldn't bury her because the ground was so frozen. So they brought wine barrels and they put, you know, one this way and one this way, and they stored her body in the basement. And then
They were empty, by the way.
yes, they were empty. And they buried her behind the hotel. Well, again, the hotel's long gone, but Maddie's grave still exists. And her
One of the few
headstone's
people to be buried in Yellowstone.
in Yellowstone.
Yeah.
And her headstone's still there, and you can still visit her. And the rangers keep up her grave, and they have like bars, like a gate around the grave to keep the buffalo off the grave. You know, very, you know, it's like encased. And
Like telephone poles.
yeah, they're like
Some
telephone
big old
poles,
animals.
and you can tell that the buffaloes come right after the grave because you can find you
It's the only reason they don't poop on her grave
Yeah,
is because the poles are there.
and they definitely do around her grave.
They tiptoe around.
But the thing is that this grave exists in a picnic area in the Glacier Basin. And we in this video we tell you Maddie's story, and we tell you how to get to her grave, and people don't even know she's there. So they park there, they go to these beautiful creeks that are surrounding this area, and they have nice picnics, and they don't know if they just went 20 feet that way that they would come across Maddie and could pay their respects.
Real pioneer woman.
You are
What a story. By the way, we're getting some questions that are coming in. Let me just go ahead and from Griswold's Family Vacation. That is awesome. We will have to check it out. Is it in the Monmouth area?
It's south of it. So if you're in the Glacier Basin area, oh my goodness, what is
You have to watch your own video.
right.
You should check it out, though. We have a map there that
tells you
That'll
it's
help then.
the
Okay.
Fire Hole is the Fire Hole area. It's the Nez Perez picnic area. And so if you're staying in Old Faithful area, it's just north
okay.
of that, about 45 minutes just north of it. So it's closer to Old Faithful than it is from the Mammoth area. And there's a depression that's nearby there that we're pretty sure was the hotel. It was the basement of the hotel. And so I've been holding on to footage for probably 2 years now about putting out about all these old hotels that don't exist anymore. Because when we go to Yellowstone, we go about the history and not the geysers. And so I've been.
Well, the geysers are pretty
They're
cool,
pretty cool, too.
Come on.
But we're more about the offbeat things, and
Right.
so we
Mhm.
want to talk about the history of the hotels and where you can find where these old hotels and their foundations still exist, and the stories behind them and the people that pioneered this area. And so I don't know why I've helped. I was going to put it all out last summer, but with everything that happening, I knew that there wasn't a lot of people going to Yellowstone. So I've just been kind of holding on to it for a long time. And so the only video we have out about Yellowstone is about Maddie. And it's Mattie.
Thank
And
you.
so if you go to our site and search our videos, and
There
you
we
just
go.
type in Maddie
Mattie.
Colbert.
Pinned. It's in the link pinned at the very top of our show.
But
Okay.
yeah, that's my favorite video. And
Wow, thank you.
And what's so funny about that video is I was very ill when I made. You can kind of tell when you watch the video. I don't look real well. I had been really sick with diverticulitis, and I was just getting over it. And you know what Yellowstone's like. You have reservations, you're going to crawl if you have to go.
That's so true. Yes.
That's basically what I did. Is we had had these reservations for a year, and I wasn't going to miss it. And I had researched Maddie so much, and there was no way I was going to let these reservations, as sick as I was. And so you can just kind of tell in the video, I don't look myself. I look kind of peaked. But even with that, it was it was my favorite video we've done 200 videos, and it is my personal favorite.
Wow.
It is so
Grave is
funny
well- the
because-
grave is well marked, but you won't find it on any of their brochures.
No. But it's so funny you say that because, we have some that they may not get the most views, but, we're just passionate about. And segueing on that, I guess that I think you and Grace both are where you just find is, there's a story that needs to be told. And so you like to do a lot of history. I'm going to just speak for a minute for the others if you're interested in what some of the most popular ones they've done. And they don't do them just because they're popular, but on January of 2019, you had 2 blockbusters, your 2 biggest. Finding HBO Deadwood characters in Mount Moriah Cemetery, 67,000 views, 800 comments. Same month, Deadwood, South Dakota, a walking tour, 30,000 views, 450 comments. But then Strolling Santa Fe in this year in March, got 5,000 views already, 237 comments. That's great. And then you did a short in December of last year, Young Elk Playing with Dogs in Snow, 5,000 comments or 5,000 views. So you're kind of all over like us. You do what your passion is, don't you?
Yes, as a matter of fact, with the shorts, we mostly do shorts on the wildlife we come across.
We see a lot of it, and some of it's pretty funny. In Colorado, you see some of the strangest things.
Yeah.
It is so true.
We were coming home from Leadville, Colorado over the weekend, and we're stuck in traffic on the opposite side of I-70. We were going back into Denver, and on the opposite side of the freeway, there's 2 bull moose trying to get on the I-70.
Yeah, they were trying to merge, and they had no turn signals, no license plate.
Just 1,000 pounds of meat there, just walking
I have
around.
one question though. Did it say Moose Crossing?
No.
Well, what were
Matter
they
of
doing?
fact, this is the first time we drive that road millions of times, and it's the first moose we've ever seen. Matter of fact, we've seen more moose this year on this side of the Rockies than we ever have in all the years we've lived here. And we were talking about that the other day of why.
The moose are loose.
And we think it's because of the fires.
Yes.
Fires in the
The
drought.
fires last year.
Yeah, I think it's moved them around a
We
lot.
think it's moving them into territory they're normally. I mean, I've never seen moose.
Hey, but in
on
their
I-70.
defense, there was a beautiful creek next to the freeway. So,
Oh, okay. So, yeah, they're not
What's so
stupid.
funny about that? So I actually took video. So I'm like this.
Right.
Hey, we got a good shot.
And I caught him, and I was reviewing it the other day, and ironically, there's 2 graves right there, and I mean full-on graves.
On the
So
side of
the
the freeway?
moose led
I
you.
forgot to tell you about that. There's
Oh my
like
God.
headstones right there, like the monuments.
Yeah,
And
we're
I
going to
was
have to
like-
stop and check that one out.
Oh
I was
yeah,
like-
there's a story there.
Wow.
That
That is so
be on
great.
findthegrave.com, and then we'll be sponsoring the graves and taking care of them.
You can
So-
seriously capitalize
Well, yeah,
ka-ching
We
on that
took
one.
care of quite a few on gravesite.com.
If you Google Petaluma mountain lion, we had a mountain lion here in town visiting us not too long ago. And when it was first seen and it coming over the Petaluma Hill Mountain from the Sonoma area, and then it was like in midtown by the railroad tracks and by the freeway. And then it made its way to our neighborhood on the west side. And our belief is it was a young mountain lion, probably looking for its own territory,
Yeah.
and probably went off to behind us, the mountains. But nonetheless, we have our Nixle report. Nixle report said mountain lion spotted by the DMV back by the freeway where it was originally spotted. And yeah, a few hours later, they never did come out to say that. Apparently, the police were called and they went out there, and it was a house cat that somebody had reported as a mountain lion.
Well, the shadow on some of those can really be deceiving.
That is
He's
the
walking around with
shadows.
his own spotlight.
Mhm. Beware the dark side.
Always.
Say, if
always.
anybody has
Hey,
any
heard about
questions.
Petaluma and all those good chickens and eggs and all the organic.
Ooh, now we're talking. Where's the
Oh,
bacon? Oh, that's
man.
where the moose comes in.
Oh, you guys
Oh
have
yeah,
the
you guys got the seed vault in town
Is it
too.
still there?
What was that?
The seed vault. The old bank.
There's an old bank there that sells.
The
Seed
seed, right?
Bank.
Yeah, the seed bank recently, unfortunately, left the bank building, but they are still in town and they've moved to a smaller location, but they are still available online, more than likely at seedbank.com. And
Yeah.
any heirloom seeds that you ever want to hope for, you will find at their location.
Great place for heirloom seeds.
Fun
Yeah,
fact.
Grace has the heirloom tomatoes in her garden, and I guess when he has heirloom tomatoes, I got a feeling she's going to want me to do guard duty on night to kind of protect him this time of year.
Yeah, I love
Okay.
those guys. Fun
So,
fact: Colorado Martini started as organic gardening.
You know, we have so much in common. I cannot wait
That makes me a hoe.
to collaborate.
By the way, I need to get a comment in there for the Griswold family said, I forgot Kenny was there. Never seemed so quiet. And I wanted to say, Kenny, when they were talking about all the different genres and things that they've done on their show, in your show, you have about 3 or 4 different formats when you do your live streams. You want to just kind of share a minute of that?
I normally just do like different types of Kahoot trivia. Topics vary. I've done like country music, rock and roll music trivia, and I've done like food trivia and fast food restaurants and all kinds of different topics, cars on my Kahoot trivia.
Yeah. Well, it's just for those who are interested, I guess you're doing a screen sharing with the second screen. And I'm just kind of wondering what type of a website do you go to get this trivia?
You go to Kahoot.it.
Kahoot.it.
Yeah. It's
okay.
It's basically most teachers use it for a teaching website to that you can actually use it to like help with history and geography and math, and it's basically a learning tool.
A learning site. Okay. .it like in Italy? Is that what the .it is?
I just know it's just Kahoot.it is how I know.
Okay. Well, thanks. By the way, let's get Denise and Patrick up again. And, one of the things Denise has done over the years, which is really spectacular, is she enters contests. And they do family things where they enter contests where if it's a county or state fair. And Kenny, you do another thing you do is cooking. But Denise and Patrick, could you share a little bit about what you do in the contests and the cooking? We'd love to hear about that.
Well, that was another thing that the YouTube channel started as. The one thing about YouTube is you have to find your voice. And your voice always ends up being something that you're passionate about. And you just you realized it, but you didn't. You didn't realize how good you were at something. So when you start YouTube, you do this and you do that. You do all these different things trying to find your voice. And like I said, organic gardening is how the channel started because Patrick hadn't come online yet. And so that was my voice, was organic gardening. That's what I'm into, was lifestyle and health food and good eating and good lifestyle and stuff. And that's kind of how the channel started. And then we went into the opposite genre. We went into alcohol.
Well, when she brought me in, everything got corrupted.
Yeah,
that's right. The passion went downhill from there.
We were even betting on the episodes. So.
Yeah, exactly. When Patrick got involved, we used to do a lot of lives.
Never went to neighborhood.
Yeah, you go back to our old catalog, you're going to see a lot of lives that we basically were getting drunk on.
We were not. We were experimenting. We were researching our cocktail book.
Yes.
Oh, I
And we
like
were sharing
that.
recipes with our fans.
We were.
That's right.
Yeah.
And it was scientific. I'm sure between the two of you, you're taking like, well, what's my body mass index and how much did I have and what's my percentage? It's all very scientific.
Yeah, and years later, it still is. It's, doctor, can you save my liver?
Oh, my
Oh,
God.
that.
Yeah, we're
Yeah,
not
we used to have a lot of fun on our lives. We would, but that's how the whole history thing came from, is that we were finding our voice, and we've always been history buffs. We've always been travelers. And so
Remember the episode we were wearing colonial hats and we were talking smack about the forefathers and their alcohol? That was pretty good.
freaking drunks.
right.
George Washington was into his mead, man.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Ben Franklin was a pothead.
Yeah, they all were. Oh my God. They
We
all
were talking
were.
about that today, how even on Deadwood, you had said that they did a lot of cursing. And I had mentioned that for everything that changes, everything remains the same. You know, and we look throughout history and we like to believe. Well, I'm going to tell you a story about my grandmother, who is probably one of my favorite people that ever walked in this earth. And when I was pregnant with my oldest son, I was 17 years old, and my grandmother was visiting from New York. And I didn't want to tell my mother. And then my grandmother said to me, is there something you want to tell me? And I told her. And she put her hand on my knee and she said, that's okay, honey. When I married Grandpa, I thought I was pregnant too. You know, and so she had gotten married, I think, let me see, she was born in 1927. She was like 17, whatever that year is. But they like to try to convince you that things like that didn't happen during that time period, because they did.
Yeah. They so happened.
Well, I never. Well, maybe you should.
Right?
Yeah, we did this episode about the forefathers around 4th of July. It was like 2018, I want to say, that when we did this live. And it's actually our most popular blog post on our website, coloradomartini.com. I still, to this day, it's still the top numbered blog post was about how our forefathers were drunks and potheads. and that's kind of how we got involved with the history. It wasn't just that one episode.
Yeah, again, going back to the history, you know, you can't really blame them, because a little lesser known fact is that the original 13 colonies were ordered by the government to grow hemp.
Yeah.
Hemp was used in the ropes, the riggings, and everything you needed for a strong navy. And we were trying to build one. So the original 13 colonies, a certain percentage of your land had to be set aside to grow this hemp for the Navy. So, you know, when the female plants would get mixed in, I hear they like to experiment with them.
Oh, but Ben Franklin was sent to China by the Continental Congress to find the best hemp seed to grow.
So he had to try them all.
So why do you need the best hemp seed to grow? The most potent, quote unquote, potent hemp seed. And it's like, for rope?
Girl, we are.
Well, that's one of the nicknames I hear. I don't know.
So back in the day, they called it hemp, and nowadays we call things that are made rope and jute and stuff we call hemp.
Or
CBS. The word marijuana didn't come around until the late 1800s, and that back in those days they called it marijuana, and it was spelled with an H instead of a J because nobody knew Spanish.
Right.
And so,
Yeah, if you're going to do your propaganda, get your shit right.
So
You
they
know?
right? I love that.
here in the United States, because they didn't realize that you pronounced a J and H in Spanish. But so the word didn't even come around to the late 1800s. So when we talk about hemp in the history books in the colonial days, we're talking about marijuana. And these guys got high.
You know what this is? Us going down the rabbit hole.
They had a lot of stress, you know, and I guess,
live
you
in
know, Patrick, I
Colorado,
never realized is that you had a side there that was revolutionary, but I guess, Denise, you're actually, tell us about your revolutionary sisters.
Oh,
Dar.
Dar. Yeah, I'm part of the Daughters of American Revolution. How'd you know that? Do I have that on video?
I just, Grace tells me these things. No,
I was like, I don't remember doing a video on that.
it was in one of your videos. Yes.
I don't remember that. Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're getting old. You
I'm
have
getting
memory
old. I'm doing
issues,
too
yeah.
many videos.
We're gonna have her check.
No, both of us actually are descendants of patriots from the American Revolution. Both of our families have been here since the 1600s, or part of our family. You know, other parts came at other times. But in order to be a daughter of American Revolution, you have to be able to have a direct line to somebody that fought in the American Revolution. And so
On our side.
right, on our side.
On
Not
our
the British
side.
side.
Yeah, we send them to Canada.
That's
my
tough.
whole side.
Yeah.
Wait,
I come from Minnesota, don't you know? So we're not too far away from my Canadian friends.
Hey, I know what you're saying.
So both of us have descendants, grandfathers, great, you know.
right.
Mine was my six-time great-grandfather, James Fletcher, fought in the American Revolution, and Patrick's was Bartholomew
Bartholomew Stovall.
Stovall.
Bartholomew Stovall.
There's quite a few Stovalls still down south.
Yeah.
So.
My family has the boring name of John White. Yeah,
That's
But
all
Hey,
right.
wait,
they
yeah,
actually
wait a minute. That belongs in Game of Thrones.
right. But the American Revolution in 1776 is where he got his property in upstate New York. But prior to that, you can trace them all the way back to Massachusetts, the family line to the Mayflower. You know, so he bought
Very
it.
cool.
So I have actually two on both my grandmother, my maternal grandmother, and my maternal grandfather's side, daughter of the revolutions.
So it sounds like you're into genealogy as well.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, that club needs to pay me to be in it.
Yeah, but Grace, isn't it interesting how, you know, like on one side you have this really rich history going all the way back to the Mayflower with the White family, and yet you in Colorado, on the other side, on your father's side, going back in descendants, which you had to do a lot of research on, it gets to the Ramona story where you're going to do a collaboration, right? Isn't that what your kind of your passion is?
You know what? If I bring Colorado Martini in, I you know, I'm a seer. That's my gift, is I can kind of get a glimpse sometimes at the future. And I know if I bring you in, you are going to find missing pieces that I have from this portion. You know, with Ramona and the Mission Indians and everything else, I'm kind of stuck on my great-great-grandmother and where she originated and her story. So I really need you to meet me there, girl.
Yeah, and we need to talk offline because you know, being part of Daughters of the American Revolution, we're very good about genealogy. And what we call brick walls, you hit a brick wall trying to figure out something about your heritage. And I know ladies here in Colorado that are so good about getting through those brick walls and finding information about your family, hidden history that you didn't even know it existed.
Well,
And unfortunately, though, with the whole Ramona thing, and we should probably let the audience know what Ramona is, but is that anything that has to do with Native American history and the missions in California, a lot of it was lost.
exactly.
And because, you know, these people were basically murdered and worked to death. And there's not a whole
They
lot
were
of records. They were slaves, and it's the untold slave story
Exactly.
of the United States. And are you familiar with the book Island of the Blue Dolphins?
No, but I am familiar with the other slaves.
Well, that Island of the Blue Dolphins is a very famous book that when I was a kid, it was required reading and growing up in California.
It was written on what, buckskin or carved out of tree bark?
Oh, I love you. You are so awesome. You're there to keep everything real.
It was stone. The stuff didn't wear back out, and it wasn't even
They had
papyrus.
books
It was
back
stone.
Shit, I thought they were still teaching reading and writing.
So on the Sanskrit that we had to read,
Yeah, there you go. Before the water came in.
the islands off of California, the Channel Islands, there was this book is about a tribe that was off the islands, the Channel Islands in California. And it's a wonderful story. And if for those of you out there who have kids and grandkids, definitely buy this book and read it to them. It's a wonderful story. It really is. And but it's about a woman who gets the missionaries, the Spaniards decide that they're going to evacuate this island, Santa Barbara Island, of the Native Americans and bring them into the mission system. And so they do. They evacuate them.
Did they bring them to the mainland so that they could re-educate them
slaves,
in
yeah.
religion?
Make them Catholics,
Oh, yeah.
Catholics
Well said.
and slaves. They were slaves.
Okay.
They basically were.
Mhm.
And so this woman got left behind in the book.
Only
And-
person on the island.
Yeah, the only person on the island,
Huh.
and it's the story of her life on this island getting left behind. And but the thing is that a lot of people don't realize it's a true story.
Oh yeah.
And we did a whole video on this woman, and when you were talking about people being buried in the missions down in San Diego, she is actually buried at in the Santa Barbara mission. And so she comes to the States in real life and to the mainland, and she dies within weeks because of dysentery. So, but the whole point of the story is that they decimated her people. So
Yes.
she was only on the island for about 20 years. And when she came to the mainland, all her people were dead from disease and being worked to death. And nobody could speak her language. Nobody could communicate with this woman because nobody spoke her language, because they had all died in
All been
20
assimilated, right?
Yeah, they weren't even assimilated. They just died.
Just died.
Yeah,
So,
more like
yeah,
a resource that was
100%.
used up and discarded.
And so it's like-
100%. We are going to hook up and we are going to do this awesome collab, and we are going to enlighten the world on what really happened. So I look forward to that. We've got about 3 minutes left, and I'm going to go ahead and give you the floor. I want you to tell us a little bit more about your channels and what to look forward to.
So we're basically a channel, an adventure channel. We don't do a whole lot of paranormal anymore, but we do still visit cemeteries. Our paranormal stuff and the strange is all on the Strange by Colorado Martini channel. But the main channel, Colorado Martini, is all travel. And it's basically road trips. And we go on a lot of adventures. We go to Moab. We go to Deadwood a lot. And we try to bring history into the genre, into what we're
Yeah,
talking
so we
about.
researched the history of the area before we go, and we're able to give an intelligent view of the area that we're in.
And we like to go to places that people may never go to, such as battlefields, such as a Native American battle with the cavalry that people will never, ever go to. But we like to show them the battlefield and the graves that might still exist there and the history behind it, and kind of let them know these things exist out there. And if you just happen to be driving by, you should stop and smell the history and check it out.
Yeah.
So.
You
Wonderful.
are
You know,
so
there's
much
one
like
thing,
us.
Grace, that when we should have discussed this, and I think we have a minute or so. Kenny, thank you. I noticed that Gina, who normally comes on at 6 o'clock right behind us, we do the raid for her, that her health is well. I'm going to certainly reach out to her. So thank you for that. So we do have another extra minute or so. But I guess that, a lot of us here are RVers. Kenny is not, but he's going to be a cruise kind of guy, right, Kenny? But I am just kind of, you do things where Roughing It is maybe black and white TV for you. So I think you mostly go out, at least these days, in your car, and you see a lot of sights, and you have lodging. You've got arrangements ahead of time. I don't know if you've ever been in tent camping or RVing or things, but I guess you're still in your work career. So just tell us a little bit about when you travel. How does that work for you? Where you stay? Can you hear us?
Yes. You
No,
know,
no, it's about
I-
Kenny. Kenny.
No, no.
Oh no, I'm sorry. That was directed to the two of you. There is that.
Oh.
Since
Wake
you.
up.
Oh, I thought it was for
Oh,
Ken.
you know, I was talking, yakking, and
Yeah,
maybe it was for the two of you. Over to you.
roughing it for us these days is probably a KOA campground.
Okay.
You know, sometimes it's rough. Last time I was bit by a mosquito.
Ooh, ouch. That's
It
Forgotten
damn it, I
country.
burnt my mouth on the schmore. You think they would like take the temperature for you or something?
I'm surprised it didn't pass out. You know, with all your imbibing, that it could even fly after that.
You know, we used to own a travel trailer, but
We
you know,
recently sold it.
I killed that off when it flew off the back of my truck in Texas.
Oh, that. Things
Damn
are always
those
bigger in
50-mile-an-hour
Texas.
winds, you know. So
You
yeah, no, I
guys are
repaired
so
it.
much fun, and you will always be invited into our RV no matter where it is we stop. So Kenneth, what do you have planned in the near future?
Well, I plan on going to the Mayberry meetup in October this year,
Right.
and then
Awesome.
I also like it was mentioned earlier. I'm planning on taking my very first group cruise in October of 2022. Going to be going to leaving out of Miami, going to Aruba.
Oh man, that's awesome.
Oh, I want to take it.
Yeah.
I
Get
can't
you a
remember. I
cocktail.
can't remember.
Don't make us come down there and bail you out, Kenneth.
I
But if you
can't
need
remember
help,
the
you can
rest
call
of them, but we're gonna be leaving out of Miami, and it's gonna be gone from the 15th to the 23rd of October 2022. So, and
Lots to look forward to.
sometime in the next near future, I'm hoping to take our 8540 Econoline van and turn it into a camper van eventually. So.
Awesome. Well, I guess, and then you've got your career, right? And I just can't wait to maybe after we stop the show to talk to Denise a little bit about being a software engineer. That's a very fascinating part I didn't know with all of our other skill sets. But I guess, Kenny, have you had any opportunity to go support other people in the automotive mechanic field yet? Or is that still something you're gearing up to do?
Well, I'm still looking for someone that's willing to give me a chance at working on cars and things. Right now, I'm running into an issue where no one is actually hiring right now in my area in the automotive field, and so we're still trying to. I have a counselor that is supposedly helping me find someone that's gonna be willing to give me a chance at working on cars.
You know, just on that note, remember when we spoke before you were getting that PowerPoint, is that, you know, maybe just going on, I don't know, Craigslist and just saying, I can help with preventive maintenance. Everyone always needs preventive maintenance done, whether it's, you know, oil changes or just minor jobs, but you don't need a lot of tools for some types of things. So, yeah, is there anything we can do to help you with ideas on things like that, just let us know.
You know,
Kenneth, where are you located?
I'm in Kingsport, Tennessee.
Okay, so Kingsport, Tennessee. If you're listening and you need work done on your automobile, I highly recommend that you reach out to Foreman, aka Kenneth Oakes, because he's the man. He's got his degree and everything he needs. So we look forward to you contacting him.
I still need to work on trying to figure out find a testing location to get my ASE certification. Because come to find out, the certificate program that I took in Northeast State Community College, that was actually just the first step. You still got to be able to take ASE certification in like the
Oh, okay.
engine performance, brakes, transmissions, and all the different parts of the vehicle in order to be actually certified in that field.
We're going to
You
go
know-
ahead and sign off on the broadcast for this evening. And we really thank all of you who've been here with us. If you haven't yet, in the above link pinned to the top is a link for Colorado Martini. And there is a second channel called The Strange by Colorado Martini. Be sure to subscribe. We really want to thank our guests for being here, as well as Kenneth. So
Thank you for having me.
until we meet again, honey.
Happy trails to you
Sing with us.
until we meet again. Peace out. Bye for now. Thanks for being here, all.